Welcome everybody. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. Before we get rolling, I really like to turn this over to the students. This is not a prepared play show type thing. We just kind of throw it together at the last second. The main focus here is for these guys to get an opportunity to perform. Because this is such an odd activity. It's the only state activity that has a competitive state, head-to-head type state tournament that has zero fan base. Nobody comes and watches. In fact, it's somewhat odd when people show up. You can see them, it's like, why their parents want to come watch? Which is fine, it's just not the norm. And so they really work just as hard. I always talk about debate and forensics being a sport. And they do. They work just as hard as any athlete in this activity. They just don't have a lot of people applauding for them. And we kind of just do it in isolation. We go and do amazing things, and then we just kind of yell for each other. We get off the bus and we come home. And so this is an opportunity for you guys to see some of the incredible things that they do. Very thankful to coach this group of students. We only have 21 on the team. And throughout the night, you're going to hear some amazing statistics of what they've accomplished this year. And just super proud of them. Another thing I want to get out of the way is being a parent of a debater or forensicator is sometimes tough. And I want to thank the parents, sometimes aunts, uncles, grandmas, grandpas, brothers, and sisters, because you have to drop them off at what you would think would be ungodly hours in the morning, especially on the weekends, and then randomly get a phone call to come pick them up on a Saturday. And so I really appreciate, and I think you guys ought to give your parents and relatives, anybody who's ever helped you, a round of applause. So before we get rolling, a couple things. I want to recognize my team. If you guys will stand. Not everybody was able to make it tonight. Some impressive numbers, and if I eat up some of your guys' statistics, just skip them. This year, 95% of the team medaled at a tournament. So that in itself is impressive. In order to qualify for our state championship tournament, you have to finish first or second at a tournament. Some of these events have 40 kids in them, so you have to finish in the top two of that tournament in order to qualify for state champs. 16 entries is all I can take at the state tournament next week. About less than a quarter of the 4A teams will have a full entry there. It's very difficult to get 16, and we'll be one of them. This year we qualified 34 different events to the state tournament. And as a result of that, I have to leave people at home, which is always a hard decision. And so everybody you see performing tonight has made the state championship team. But not everybody performing tonight will be on the team that goes to state. And it's a difficult thing, but it's also a really cool thing to be on a team that's so good that sometimes at tournaments the best competition is the people on your team. And we've done that a couple of times this year where we had to split up people because we didn't want to beat ourselves out of those top two spots. And so that's a really cool place to be in. You're going to see a variety of performances. There are multiple events in forensics. A couple of them, they'll be holding books. Those are prose and poetry. They're supposed to be holding books. So don't think, why does my kid not memorize their piece? They're supposed to do that. You'll see some duets with their two people. You'll see some humorous solo acting. You'll see a dramatic solo acting. What you won't see tonight are the speaking events. There's also original oration, which is a persuasive speech, informative. We are taking people in those events. And then you have the limited prep events, which is extemporaneous speaking, where you grab a topic, you got 30 minutes, and then you got to give a 7-minute speech. And our two MCs tonight are both in those type of events. They're both extempors. And then even more impressive, they're in an event called impromptu, where you draw a topic, you get 5 minutes to prep it, and you got to get up and give a 5-minute speech. And think about horrifying. You tell some kids in speech class after 4 weeks of practice that you have to give a 5-minute speech, and some of them struggle. They do it in 5 minutes of prep. So I'm just going to turn it over to them. I'm going to sit in the back and take notes and correct some things I see before we head to the state tournament next week. And with that, I am going to turn it over to B. Fleshman and Mr. Michael.
And I'm B.
And as previously mentioned, we're both the people who made the fatal mistake of going for those speaking events, so we get to be your MCs for tonight.
Yeah, but impressively, our team has placed first at 5 tournaments this year and second at 2.
And with only 21 people, we've gone to 146 medals. And on top of that, 7 out of the 11 tournaments we've been to, we've gone at least second place with a silver medal.
And then on top of that, as Mr. Weiler said, we have 34 state qualified events, but 15 are double state qualified or more.
Woo! And from there, broadly speaking, when we look at how much the team's accomplished throughout the entire time, we see how we've gone to tournaments with 6, 7 kids and still come out first place. So overall, it's not just the numbers, but it's also the experiences and the stories that we have when we go to those individual tournaments that really make this team who we are.
But starting off tonight with one of our leading poetry pieces, performed by co-captain Caden Warner, an empowering collection about body positivity and acceptance.
Dear self, when you stand in front of a mirror, your hands slide over your skin. Your fingernails never dig into your flesh, but make no mistake, you have never been gentle. And you spend this time ripping yourself apart. You pinch at your belly and watch until the red marks of your fingers fade away. But I love cake. I don't use excuses. I never liked them. The people who say they were born this way, husky, stocky, big boned, let me start by putting your minds at ease. This is not glandular. So I am not a fat man. I am a fat man. And any fewer syllables is an injustice to my girth, and I am proud of it. I am proud of this body, and I chose to be this size. Quotes like beauty is subjective and beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. Clearly, these were written by beautiful skinny people with beautiful skinny people minds who have never experienced the reality of growing up, well, fat. At a young age, we're told to love ourselves for who we are. But for many school-aged children, this takes a very long time and leaves a tear-staining trail. So, through the poems Dear Self from Vox ATL, Cake by Todd Colby, and This Is Not Glandular by David Green, you'll see that you can find self-love and self-acceptance, even through the flaws. Dear self, you cannot stop seeing numbers, counting down to nothing. 0 calories intake, 0 pounds on a scale, a cycle of circles spiraling into non-existence. But I still love cake. I chose a body as booming as my voice with the softness to counter my sharp-tongued words. I chose puppy cheeks so my grandma will always have something to pinch. I chose hands that look like hot dogs glued to a baseball because, well, that's really funny to picture. I chose to be a mountain of a man just in case any ladies were feeling adventurous and wanted to hike to the summit. Trust me, this is not glandular. Dear self, you learn how to multitask by calculating calories and studying schoolwork simultaneously. When you can't count down to 0, you'll insist that you are a failure. But even the days when you do not berate yourself aloud, you resent everything that you are. But I still love cake. I chose this body because of the women. Because the ladies love the funny fat guy. Because any girl who won't take me if I'm fat is someone I wouldn't want if I was thin. Because I am 230 pounds of cuddling bearing down on you like a force of nature, and there is no escape from my snuggling. Because I am a teddy bear whose heart is on E and desperately awaits the next woman to refuel him. Dear self, you realize you are 5 pounds lighter than you used to be. And the rest of you is so much heavier. Made of nothing and made of misery. But I still love cake. I chose this body because of the food. Because there are 6 meals in a day. Breakfast, brunch, lunch, siesta, dinner, and oh yeah, the Taco Bell drive-thru. And they're all the most important meal of the day. Because just like lonely, horny, and angry, we all get hungry. Because my mom told me that some people show love by cooking. So I got cookies instead of hugs, meatloaf instead of kisses, and fried spaghetti sandwiches replaced bedtime stories. And I cleaned my plate every single time because it was all I could do to say, I love you too. Dear self, you pull yourself together and eat a balanced meal for the first time in months. Several weeks pass, but you do stop counting. And when you do, you feel lighter than you ever did. You never realized how much the numbers weigh. And I love cake. I mean, I never knew my dad. And Rick was never that hands-on stepfather, unless you consider the occasional slap on the side of the head. So food became my surrogate fathers. Colonel Sanders and Chef Boyardee became my models for manhood, which explains my obsession for weird hats. I chose this body because of 7th grade PE. Because if just one fat guy is confident with changing clothes, it makes others more confident. Because dodgeball is a stupid sport, so who cares if I get knocked out first? Running the mile is torture. But so are the jokes. If the fat guy can't finish. Dear self, hating yourself is easy. It is throwing yourself into the darkness and hoping your bungee cord doesn't snap on the way down. But learning to love yourself, to accept the flaws, that is the journey back up the mountain. Handhold by handhold, sometimes gripping by a single finger. Each movement is momentous. Your own strength hauls your body back up the rock, and when you reach the top, you see sunlight again. And I love cake. I love pies. I love hamburgers, french fries, and lobster and deep fried Twinkies. I love me some rice-a-roni and Salisbury steak, microwave burritos, Cooler Ranch Doritos, and ice cream. The kind with Fred Flintstone on it that you push. I love cake. I love everything about who I am and the life I get to live. No, this is not glandular. It's just fat. And I'm proud of that. I chose this body because other people not liking my body is not a good enough reason for me to change it. So to the bullies, the lunch ladies, the women who never gave me a chance, and the football coaches who berated me with insults, to the jocks and the jerks, and to the doctor who choked when I stepped on his scale, to Rick and to Colonel, and to anyone who ever used F-A-T as an insult, you can do what I did for the last 2 decades of my life doing. You can eat it. Dear self, you will make it up this mountain. You already have.
So, next up, one of only 2 state placers last year, and our second co-captain for the team, Lucia Shin, with her piece, Forgiveness by Rebecca Brown.
When I said I'd give my right arm for you, I didn't think you'd ask me for it. But you did. You said, give it to me. And I said, okay. There were lots of reasons I gave it to you. First of all, I didn't want to be made a liar of, so when you reminded me that I'd said it and asked me if I really meant it, I didn't want it to seem like I was copping out by saying that I'd only spoken figuratively. Also, I had the feeling you didn't think I would really do it, and that you were testing me to see if I would, and I wanted you to know I would also. I believed you wouldn't have asked me for it unless you really wanted it and needed it. But then, when you got it, you bronzed it and put it on the mantle over the fireplace. Sometimes, for the people we love, we make sacrifices. But there are those who will ask and take more than we're capable of giving, who want to take a part of you, whether that be literal or, in this case, figurative. The arm isn't actually a physical loss, but a metaphor for losing a part of yourself to a destructive relationship. Hear the story of a woman who, in looking for that lost part of herself, finds forgiveness. Not for her partner, but for herself. Forgiveness by Rebecca Brown. The night you took it, I dreamt of arms. I slept on the couch in the den because I was still bleeding, even through the bandages, and we didn't want me to wake you up, so I stayed on the couch, and when I slept, I dreamt of arms. We kept it in the bathtub, bleeding like a fish. In the morning, you took it out. I watched you pat it and take it to get bronzed. I learned to do things differently. To button my shirts, to screw and unscrew the toothpaste cap. To tie my shoes, we didn't think of that. But together we were valiant, brave, stoic. Though I couldn't quite keep up with you at tennis anymore. And after a while, I developed a scab and you let me come back to bed. But sometimes in the night, I'd open up again. The first time this happened, neither of us could go back to sleep, but after a while, you'd be back to sleep in a minute. It didn't seem to bother you at all, but I guess it started to, because one day when I was washing out the sheets, you said, I don't like it when your bleeding wakes me up. I think you're sick. I think it's sick to cut off your own arm. But you cut it off. I said, you did it. You didn't blink. Don't try to make me feel guilty. You didn't blink. I closed my eyes. That night I bled again. I reached over to wake you up and tell you I was sorry. You weren't there. So I learned more. To cook and to clean, to balance my groceries on my knee while my hand fumbled with the front door, but I didn't want to rise above my situation. What I wanted was my arm, because I missed it. I missed everything about it. I missed the solid weight of it in my sleeve. I missed clapping and waving and putting my hand in my pocket. And then I realized I missed those things the whole time. The whole time my arm had been over the mantle, and I didn't dwell on those feelings because I didn't want you to feel bad, and I didn't want you to think I wanted you to feel bad. You know, I kind of thought you'd done this as a test. To show me things, how, if I was forced to, I could learn to get by with next to nothing. You'd done this to teach me something, and I thought how if you were testing me, you must be watching me to see if I was passing. I thought in perfect sentences for you, like you were listening to me. I said, I get along just fine without my arm. And I think I convinced myself. In trying to convince you, I made myself not miss it. I tested myself. I sat in the den and stared at that empty space above the mantle. And I felt nothing. I went to bed thought of nothing. I looked at my shoulder, ran my fingers over it, the tenderest flesh of my body, so everything was fine. But you came back. You never fainted. So we were sitting in the den, and you looked at me with your big brown eyes and said, Oh, I'm so sorry. Can you ever forgive me? You started crying, your lips quivering. Why did you do it? You didn't answer. What did you do with it? You shrugged your shoulders, shook your head, and smiled at me. Say something! Say something, damn it! You looked deep into my eyes and said, I've grown. You said how good and strong and truly different you were. I watched your perfect teeth. I felt your hands run over my empty sleeve. I couldn't tell you I'm crying. I couldn't tell you that you can't redo a thing that's been undone. I couldn't tell you that it wasn't just the fact that you ripped it out of me, took it, mounted it, then lost it. How it wasn't only that, but it was more. How it was that when you asked me, I believed you. And I said, okay. How I believed with all my heart that given time, you'd do something else again. And then I thought that I would never believe you. Never forget what I know of you. Never forgive. Never. Thank you.
Next up with a piece typically performed as a humorous act, Natalie Anna Guy with a dramatic interpretation of Tammy the Teenage T-Rex by Julia Wisey.
Dear Diary, what's up? Nothing much here. That's a lie. School sucks times infinity. I hate stupid Jenica! The guy I like, his name's Cliff, and he's popular, but I'm not popular. Tammy, breakfast! Don't you dare speak to me in that tone, young lady. Now you better get down here in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail before breakfast because I have a meeting. Loser. Ugly. Fatso. Dinosaur. The specific word doesn't really matter. They're all just labels kids wield as weapons to create a cruel reality for their victims. It could be anything. Dinosaur is just one of the limitless nasty names used to punish and humiliate. This particular piece has been on the national stage twice, however each time it's been performed as a humorous solo. Though if you really take time to listen to the story, you see that there's nothing funny about a girl transforming into something she despises as others ridicule her. I wonder when I'm going to get my first kiss. Mom says I'm too young, but that's just the thing moms say. I wished on a star last night
to be normal, but then it was fine. Hi, Ted. Hey, Tammy. Tammy, you're gonna make so many good friends today at school. I know it, because you're so pretty, right? Yeah, so pretty. Tam, how about this? After school, I'll let you choose a movie. We'll rent it and I'll watch it with you. How does that sound, kiddo? Cool, I guess. And if you don't get the muzzle today, I'll let you choose 2 movies after school. Hi, Tammy! Oh, you almost made me roar. Sorry, Tammy. I really didn't mean to. No, it's okay, but my pencil broke. I gotta go get another one. What? They don't have mechanical pencils in the Stone Age? Shut up, Jenica. You're seriously so dumb. Come here, Tammy. Listen. Soon we're gonna be in high school and we don't have to worry about stupid people like Jenica. It's just not fair, Hope. In grade school, they don't care if you're different. You just fit in anyways. There's Cliff. He's only an 8th grader, and he already plays 4 varsity sports. Sup? Sup? Dino girl? The name's Cliff, but you probably know me from sports. Yeah, I'm Tammy. Weird. Have a super stellar day. Look, Tampon. No one at this school likes you, especially Cliff. And I'm not trying to be mean, I'm letting you know because, well, even though people like me hate people like you, I still think of you as a friend. Okay, bye. Hi, Mrs. Sanchez. Tammy, thanks for coming in. I want to try something with you. I want you to choose any of those crayons and draw me a picture of yourself, how you see you. Mrs. Sanchez, there's no green crayons in here. You don't need any green crayons, Tim. Now, I think I know what your problem is. I think you want to make friends. You don't know how. And I mean, I don't blame you. Look at you, you're huge. It's Tammy, Mrs. Sanchez, and I'm not even that big! Atta girl, Tamlin. Lash out. I can take it, I'm a big girl. Now, you're wrong, Tammy. But I want to see you tonight. Out on the dance floor, shaking that tail of yours and making some friends. Hi, Cliff. Hey, Tammy, I am so sorry. Dad, what are you doing? Get out of my room! Sorry, Tam, when I was your age, I was a big, huge nerd. I was a nerd. That jumper looks great on you. Have fun at the dance. Dad, get out of my room! Hey, Tammy, I'm so glad you could come to the dance. Yeah, oh, it's nice. Nice to get out. Look, Tampon. Tammy, I heard that Cliff wants to dance with you, because, he told me. So you should, go talk to him or something. Really? Cliff wants to dance with me? Listen to her, Tammy. You know she's just lying to you. It's Jenica we're talking about. Shut up, Hope. You're just jealous that I'm making friends and you're not. Tammy, please. I'm just trying to protect you. Please, leave me alone, Hope. Hey, Cliff. Sup, T-Dog, I'm still waiting for my special moment. Well, I mean, it's the perfect song if you wanna dance? T-Dog, I would, I really would, but the thing is, I don't dance. At least not with dinosaurs. Dinosaur! Dinosaur! Guys, please stop! Dinosaur! Dinosaur! Please, guys, stop! Dinosaur! Dinosaur! Guys, no, please, guys. I didn't mean it. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. Tammy, you have a visitor. I do? Oh. You came. Yeah, Tammy, I wanted to say I'm sorry for what happened. I tried to warn you, but it was too late. It's not your fault, Hope. It's all my fault. And it's all my fault. I'm so sorry. I should have... I don't know what happened. I'm so sorry, Hope. It's okay, Tammy. I don't blame you for anything. What they did to you was cruel. I'll always forgive you. You're my best friend. Oh, you're the best friend I could ever ask for. Thank you.
All right, so let's wish our next two performers with good luck on their upcoming court case, attempts to understand controlling parents, and fight against adults abroad. Ella Yingling and Jackson Allen with Ant Farm by Simon Rich.
If life were like school.
In all my years on the bench, I have never seen a more despicable criminal. You robbed, assaulted, and tortured the victim simply for the thrill of it. Do you have anything to say in defense before I sentence you?
Nope.
In that case, I hereby sentence you to 40 years and a maximum security prison.
Whatevs.
I also sentence the victim to 40 years in prison.
Wait. What? That doesn't make any sense! He was the one who assaulted me!
I don't care who started it. As we grow up, adults of all kinds try to fill us with stuff that we don't really need to know.
Sometimes outright lies.
While at the same time, fail to tell us the things that we
Really ought to know!
we're being prepared for the real world.
But in all actuality, you're just stuck inside an ant farm. Ant Farm by Simon Rich. Second grade realization.
Jake, come over here for a second.
What's up?
Remember last week when Miss Katie started that new game?
Yeah, the Simon game? I thought it was pretty cool for a Let's Play on the bus.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, but then I started to think about it, and now I'm not so sure.
What do you mean?
Well, just think about it. This silent game isn't really fun. They kind of just sit there, and nobody ever wins. It's always a tie.
What are you saying?
I don't think it's a real game.
Oh my god, I think you're right!
We felt for it. We were quiet for almost 20 minutes.
But we have to tell the class!
What's the point? anyway, they never believe us.
Well, what about all the other games? Like the politeness game, the respect game, the queen up the tables game?
What about them?
I think they might be fake too.
Oh my goodness, you just blew my mind!
This is the craziest thing of my life! A day at UNICEF headquarters as I imagined it in 3rd grade.
Halloween is fast approaching. Have the third graders been given their little orange boxes?
Yes, Your Majesty.
Perfect! Did you tell them it was full?
No, of course not. I just gave them their little orange boxes and told them to collect for UNICEF. I told them it was for a good cause and didn't get any more specific than that.
Ha ha ha! Those fools! Soon I will have all the money in the world, for I am UNICEF, evil king of Halloween.
Sir, don't you think you've stolen enough from the children? Maybe you should let them keep their UNICEF money this year?
Never! The children shall toil forever to serve my greed. Ha 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 ha! Ha ha ha! Yes!
Sir,
Oh, yes.
wait, look, our records indicate that there's a kid somewhere out there, Simon, who's been keeping his UNICEF money this year.
But what about my evil plans?
I guess there's still one hero out there.
No!
History class. Alright class, today we're going to be learning about the political and economic standpoints that led to the Civil War. We're going to start off with a little role-playing exercise. First, we need someone to be a Northern abolitionist. Now, raise your hand if you want to be a Northern abolitionist. Oh, looks like that's everyone. Now we need someone to play a Southern slave owner. Seymour!
What?
Alright, let's begin. How many innocent people must die to satisfy your greed, Seymour? You're a monster!
What's going on?
Monster!
I'm against slavery, I swear!
That's not something a Southern slave owner would say, Seymour. Remember, you are being graded on this.
Okay, I guess slavery's good.
Out of all of the villains in the history of the world, you, Seymour, are by far the most terrifying. I can't even look you in the face. You literally make my skin crawl.
I thought you said this was a role-playing exercise.
I'm also doing the exercise. I'm the abolitionist. You are the slave owner. What goes through my mind when I'm home alone? From a mom's perspective.
Well, Mom left me home alone again. Then I go to the medicine cabinet and drink all the medicine. What's this? A note that says don't drink any medicine? Thank goodness! I was about to do that! I was about to drink all the medicine.
Well, looks like it's time to turn off the stove and not turn it off after using it. That way I burn the whole house down and kill myself in the process. Wait, a note that says turn off the stove after using it. Wow, that would have never occurred to me. Thanks, Mom. You saved my life again, twice in one night.
Well, better throw things out the window again. Something I haven't done since I was 7.
Hey!
I'm 15, but I haven't moved on. I still need constant reminders from my mom on how to get through the day. What's this? A note? Oh no. Guess I shouldn't throw things out the window. There go my big plans.
Dinner time. There's a Tupperware full of pasta in the fridge, but... What's this? It's cold! How will I ever warm it? I guess I'll have to starve and die because I'm not competent enough to warm pasta! Whoa, a note. It says, put Tupperware in microwave and click easy minute. Wow! Thanks, Note! You saved my life!
I hope when my mom gets home, she asks me some very specific, humiliating questions about my changing body.
Sex ed.
Alright, class, it's time to read some of your anonymous sex questions out loud. Here's one.
Hey, I think that C-word kind of looks like his handwriting. Oh my God, Mr. Baker, don't read it!
Please, no talking. It's very important that I answer the student's question. Whoever asked it is obviously very confused about sex. These are not normal concerns. Not even close.
Oh no.
Okay, 7-part question. The first is about test scores.
Hey, I think that Seymour's written in blue ink just like all of his homework assignments.
Quiet, class! We have to be fair to the boy who wrote this. Even if we find their sexual desires to be morally reprehensible.
Hey, I think that Seymour's stationary. I can tell because of the watermark.
Okay, I'm gonna read, but I have to warn you, if you want to do some screaming, that's okay. I'm probably gonna do some screaming myself. It's that extreme.
That's it. That's the bell. Class dismissed.
Stay in your seat, Seymour. If I don't answer this question now, he could permanently damage his body. Okay, here goes. Wow, I just cannot read it. It's that embarrassing. Can I have a volunteer?
Oh, me? I'll read it. Here goes. It says, what do you do if you're a very normal boy with no really weird things? The day I got my first calculator. All right, class, welcome to 4th grade math. Everyone grab a calculator out of the bin.
What are these things?
From now on, we'll be using calculators.
What do these things do?
Simple operations like multiplication and division.
You mean this device just does it by itself?
Yes, you enter the equation and click equals.
You knew about this all along, didn't you? Well, we did this whole charade with the line and the pencils and the stupid multiplication table. Sorry for checking. It's just I'm a little bit blown away.
All right, class. Now we're going to be going over some grand problems.
What the 18 of ox don't you have back there? I'm at the tenderized poker board for you. Oh, Lord, that builds itself out. What the 18 of ox is going
The
on?
name brand bottle of rum costs $12.95. The generic brand costs $7.50. If per se a math teacher were to buy 7 bottles of generic rum per week, how much money would he save each month? How much money would he save each year? How much money would he save over the course of 11 years?
So that's it then. The last 2 years have been total farce. This whole time I thought, well, this is pretty hard and frustrating, but at least the useful skills I'll need to have. Meanwhile, you had a whole bit of thing behind your desk. We just skipped right to graphing. Unless, of course, there's some sort of graphing calculator.
There is. You get one in the 9th grade.
What is this? Am I on TV? Is this one of those prank shows?
After 11 years of service, a math teacher receives an $80 certificate in lieu of a raise. How much money would be left after taxes? Expressed in bottles of rum!
Boo.
Thank you.
Our next prospect comes on stage to give us a chilling performance. Aiden Lewis with How to Build a Fire by Jack London.
The tremendous cold made no impression on the man. 50 degrees below zero. Such a factor impressed the man to think, oh, rather cold and uncomfortable. But that was all. To the man, the temperature did not matter. He was bound for Henderson Creek, where the boys were already. A fire would be going and supper would be ready. At the man's heels trotted a dog, the dog's instinct told a far truer tale than was told to the man. In reality, it was not barely colder than 50 below zero. It was colder than 60 below.
Then 70 below!
The dog had learned fire, and it wanted fire. Storytelling is an idea that dates back to prehistoric times. Storytelling can be quite difficult, factoring in characters, plot, setting, etc. But when it's done right, it can all truly come together. Listen, as a trio of friends around a campfire, create a story before your very eyes. But be warned, just as it can be hard to build a story, it can also be very difficult to build a fire. By Jack London. The man knew that there were springs that ran along in the snow. There were traps. They had pools of water that could be 3 inches deep or 3 feet. For the man to get his feet wet in such a temperature would mean trouble and danger, as he would be forced to build a fire. In the course of the next 2 hours, he came upon several traps. Suspecting danger, he compelled the dog to go in front. Well, the dog did not want to go, so the man shoved it forward. It went swiftly across the white, unbroken surface. Suddenly, it broke through, it wet its legs.
He made quick efforts to lick the ice off its legs. Then the man removed the mitten from his right hand and helped tear out those ice particles. He did not expose his fingers more than a minute. He was astonished at the swift numbness that had smote them. It certainly was cold. Then the man pulled on his mittens, got out his matches, and proceeded to
make a fire. There did not seem to be so many springs on the left, and for half an hour the man saw no signs of it. And then it happened. At a place where there were no signs, the man had broken through. He put himself halfway to the knees. He was angry and cursed to look aloud. He would be forced to build a fire and drown his foot gear. The flame he got by touching a match to a small shred of birch bark. But he should not have built the fire under the spruce tree. He should have built it in the open, but it would have been easier to pull the twigs from the brush and drop them directly onto the fire. Now the tree under which he had done this carried away the snow, and it grew like an avalanche and descended without warning upon the man, and the fire was blotted out.
The man was shocked. It was as though he had just heard his own sentence of death. For a moment, he sat and stared at the spot where the fire had been.
The man reached for a second piece of birch bark, but he did not feel it with his fingers as he fumbled for it. Try as he would, he could not clutch hold of it. He drove the thought of his freezing feet and nose and cheeks out of his mind, devoting his whole soul to the matches. And he succeeded in getting one, which he scratched on his leg, lighting it. But the burning brimstone went into his lungs, causing him to cough. The match fell into the snow and went out. Suddenly, he buried both his hands, removing them with his teeth, and caught the whole bunch between his hands, and scratched it against his leg, and it flared into a flame. 70 sulfur matches at once. As he held it, he became aware of the sensation in his hand. His flesh was burning, and still he endured it, holding the flame of the matches closely to the bark that would not light early. His own burning hand went away, absorbing most of the flame.
At last, when he could endure no more, he jerked his hands apart. The matches fell into the snow and went out. The fire had failed.
His eyes chanced on the dog, sitting across the ruins of the fire from the side of the dog. But a wild idea into his head. He remembered the tale of the man, caught the blizzard, who killed the steer, crawled inside the carcass, and so was saved. He spoke to the dog, calling to him. But the dog would not come to the man. He got upon his feet, and his arm flashed out of his and he experienced genuine surprise when he realized that there was neither clutch nor bend to his hands, that he could neither hold his knife nor throttle the animal. A certain fear of death, dull and oppressive, came to the man as he realized that this was no longer a mere matter of losing a couple of hands or a couple of feet, but that this was a matter of life and death, with the chances against him. This threw him into a panic, and he turned and ran. The dog joined in behind him and kept up with him. He ran blindly, without intention. Maybe if his feet would thaw out, if he ran on his feet would thaw out, and anyway, if he ran far enough, he would reach camp and the boys. Several times he stumbled, and finally, he fell. When he tried to rise, he fell! He'd been making a fool of himself. He was running around like a chicken! With his head cut off! He was bound to freeze anyway, and he might as well take it decently. A good idea, he thought, to sleep off to death. Then the man drowsed off into what seemed to him to be the most comfortable and satisfying sleep he had ever known. Thank you.
So, for this one, we were advised that we had to make a rabbit pun.
So, without further ado, hopping onto stage,
Mason McConaughey with The Rabbit Report by Gregory T. Burns.
I guess, all in all, it was one of the weirdest years ever. You see, for a while, cities across America were experiencing more and more rabbits running loose. Rabbits were everywhere! And no one really knew where they came from, or why they suddenly started taking over the country. A lot of people were blaming the government, but the media just kept reporting. The recent increase in the rabbit population is a direct result of global warming! We live in an age of media overload. This can create an unparalleled competition for viewers. So when a hair-raising story comes along, they just don't let it sit around and let it collect dust bunnies. They latch onto it, like a rabid rabbit to a carrot, and they don't let go until we're all watership drowned. I try to be optimist, but I fear there will be no happily ever after. We see this in the ultimate bad, Hair Day, by Gregory T. Burns' satirical story, The Rabbit Report. It was always global warming this or global warming that. I mean, it must have been pretty important though, because I hear my parents arguing about it after dinner. Honey, do you agree with the media? Do you really think all these rabbits are here because of global warming?
Absolutely not, sweetheart. These rabbits aren't here because of global warming. These rabbits are the cause of global warming. You know that's rabbit fur.
Then why do you think all these rabbits have abandoned their homes and started taking over ours?
The way I see it, these rabbits are taking over American homes is because they got better with the whole thing.
Laugh now, funny man, but mark my words. You won't think this is so funny. Dad loved making Mom what he called hopping mad. Dad could always make a joke about anything, but it wasn't so funny. It got to the point where you couldn't even turn on the TV without seeing a breaking news story. Click!
Just a moment ago, the President of the Agriculture Union announced the recent shortage of fresh vegetables and produce. It's largely due to the rash amount of rabbits ravaging the latest crop. We now join the press conference of progress.
Yes, young lady in the red dress. Lizzie had to stop. Live tomorrow like today was yesterday magazine. Is it a ploy of the farming industry to raise the prices of lettuce and carrots? Or is this indeed a crisis worthy of concerning American consumers? Young lady, let me assure you, do not want to be left alone in the field of fresh vegetables when the sun goes down. Mark my words, these are rabbits, ferocious, hungry rabbits. Rabbits that once
they get their first taste of human flesh, they might just abandon their ideas about chomping on some crispy vegetables and decide they have a sweet tooth for reporters! Oh, that's right, these rats just will turn carnivorous! Oh, what we have here is nothing short of a rabbit rebellion! Oh!
Let's look up from scientific hypothesis and other silly scams. According to the research, it appears these rabbits are multiplying in numbers too big to actually ignore. Do you have any evidence to show us that these rabbits might turn? Well, vicious?
You want evidence? I'll show you evidence! Roy, roll the tape!
It all began with the knight in shining armor.
But wait, see that? That rabbit came out of nowhere and attacked that man while he was walking through the forest!
Excuse me for interrupting, but that's a scene from Monty Python. Monty Python. I don't know him. What news organization does he represent? No, Monty Python is a British comedy troupe. I hate to burst your bubble, but this is actual news footage from a news vault. If you're disturbing the accuracy of our news footage, my friend, I'm going to spend one night in a field of carrots. These are rabbits. They've got big, too long fangs, and if provoked, they know how to use them. Just as we've been warned, there was a shortage of fresh vegetable salads became scarce, almost non-existent. And with everyone gaining so much weight, the media turns its attention to exercise. All right, everyone, I'm here to tell you, you don't need a salad. Face it, who needs a salad when there are rabbits everywhere? That's right. But if you're not going to eat healthy, you might as well get up to some good old-fashioned exercise. So put up those potato chips, get up, and sweat with me to some oldies. And 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Come on, everybody. And 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. America's waistlines may be getting bigger and bigger, but the list of activities you could do at school are getting shorter and shorter. All right, children, are we ready to sing Little Birdie Foo Foo? Okay, everybody up. Little birdie foo foo, hopping through the forest, scooping up field mice and bobbing them on the head.
Miss Caroline, are my eyes deceiving me, or are you teaching first graders a song about rabbits?
Principal Thatcher, we were just talking about rat. We were just singing Little Birdie Foo Foo. It's in our songbook. When these are just around the corner, I thought it would be appropriate to teach the children a classic song about rabbits.
Well, Mr. Love,
What exactly was Little Bunny Foo Foo doing as he was hopping through the forest? Scooping up field mice and bobbing them on the head.
scooping up field mice and bobbing them on the head. Well, Miss Caroline, you might just want to show the children the Texas Chainsaw Massacre next. After all, he was just scooping up innocent little victims and bobbing them on the head with his chainsaw. Now wasn't he? You have no idea how many parent complaints I'll hear about this. I'm placing you on administrative leave without pay.
But what about the children?
Well, it's a fine time to worry about the children, now isn't it? And you know what? Mom was right. It wasn't 2 days until I walked into our living room and saw Dad watching the evening news. He was holding a box of tissue in his lap, and he was crying.
You have heard a jarring announcement today that has men across America dropping their jobs. Playboy magazine, known for its decades of hard-hitting articles and political cartoons, were changing its logo. And replaced with a more giant-friendly image of a platypus. Wait, really? Things were all the time worse when people started to turn against books. Good evening. The fire you see on your screen here tonight is in fact a good old-fashioned book burning. Thousands of spectators have shown up to the Library of Congress to protest the lack of government involvement in the recent municipality called the Rabbitsgate. One parent summed up the situation like this: I think it's important to teach our children the importance of participating in protests. Timmy, tell the nice reporter what books we brought here tonight. We brought the Valentine Rabbit, the Tailed Peter Rabbit, and Pat the Potty. It's
want those evil books in our homes anymore. Do we, Timmy? No, they gave me nightmares. Now, throw those books into the fire and let's watch those bunnies burn. Finally, the politicians realized that these rabbits just weren't going away. So the government stepped in with a plan of action.
Good evening, and good news for Americans. The House passed new legislation today which will give poultry farmers the needed funds to begin raising coyotes. If approved, Project Wiley will be the first big attempt in the part of the government to decrease the ever-rising amount of rabbits ravaging our nation. Political insiders today deny the new legislation is any way, shape, or form an attempt to cover up what is now being called the Rabbitgate. It's a good day for farmers, a good day for Americans, and a very bad day for rabbits.
It was weird. One day the world was being overrun by rabbits, and the next minute, they were all gone. Of course, you'd still see a rabbit every once in a while, but it was nothing out of the ordinary. The government claimed no involvement in the disappearance of millions of rabbits, but still, coincidences aren't coincidences. Well, I got a lot of chores to do, so I guess I better hop to it. Thank you.
Next up is a piece shared by two members of the team, but performed by Rayla Johnson, one as an SSA and one as a pros. It wins so many tournaments, we figured they might see it as much as possible. So, presenting The Woman Who Walked Into Doors by Roddy Doyle.
I swing the first time I saw Charlie. I actually did. Then faint and fall to the floor. My legs were rubber on me, and I giggled. Charlo Spencer. There he was at the dance, leaning against the wall. He was elegant. Word doesn't seem to fit here, but that's what he was. I didn't know he was going to move away from the wall and walk. I didn't know he was going to stand right in front of me. I didn't have time to dream of it. His hands rested on my hips, and he spun me around and around. I put my hand on his shoulder, and he had me. Women who are in an abusive relationship almost always blame it on themselves. The abusers have a pattern of controlling behavior to where eventually they get full control over their partner, to where if the woman gets the courage to leave them, they threaten to do bad things to them or themselves. And statistics show that 75% of women who were killed by their abuser when they were trying to leave them. Sometimes all you need is to ask the right question. And who knows, it might just save a life. This is The Woman Who Walked Into Doors by Roddy Doyle. Being hit by Charlo, first time, knocked everything else out of me. It's all I remember now. It became the most important thing. It became the only thing. One day I was Miss Paula Spencer, a young wife soon moving into a new house, cooking my husband's dinner, timing it so it would be just ready when he came home from work. I was a young, attractive woman with a loving, attractive husband who's bringing home the bacon with a smile on his face. Then I was on the floor, and that was the end of my life. The future stopped rolling in front of me. Everything stopped. He lost his temper, and he hit me. It was as simple as that. He sent me flying across the kitchen. I hit the sink and I fell. Knew nothing for a while. Where I was, who was with me while I was on the floor. When I saw his feet and his legs. He seemed way up over me, miles above. I had to bend back just to look at her.
You alright?
His face, his eyes going through every inch of my face, looking for marks, looking for blood.
You fell.
I didn't. I fell. I wanted to do what he wanted. He was in his moods. I was being smart. He drew back his fist and he hit me. He hit me. It was plain and simple. He drew back his fist and he smashed me. I got drawn wrong. I fell. I'd been too near him. He hadn't realized. He didn't know his own strength. He had things on his mind. I kept blaming myself after all the years, the broken bones, the teeth, the torture. I still kept blaming myself. I can't help it. What if he wouldn't have hit me if I hadn't? None of the other fists and belts would have fallen if I hadn't. He hit me. He hit his children. He hit other people, and I kept blaming myself for provoking him for not showing it. Dismiss them all. It's easy. They're all unfair. I'm innocent. Completely innocent. But they kept coming back. What if? No! I'm innocent. What if he hadn't had hit me then? No! It was always coming. Before that night, before we got married, before we met. That was Charlo. He once asked me how I got my black eye. Then he came out with it. Where'd you get that? What? It was a test. I was thumping inside. There was only one right answer. I walked into a door. Is that right? Yeah. Looks sore. It's not too bad. Good. He was messing with me, playing like a cat with an injured bird, keeping me on my toes, keeping me in my place. When he wasn't hitting me, he was reminding me that he could hit me, reminding me and getting me ready. Someone once told me that we never remember pain. Once it's gone, it's gone. A nurse. She told me that before the doctor put my arm back in its socket. She was being nice. She'd seen me before. I walked into a door. Again. Sorry. No questions asked. What about the burn on my hand, the missing hair, the teeth? I waited to be asked. Ask me. I tell them everything. Look at the burn on my hand. Ask me about it. Ask. One question. I tell them everything. I swear to God I wouldn't if they asked first. He pulled my arm behind my back and lifted me off the floor. He hit me. He kicked me here. He burned me here. He didn't save me. I told him everything. I just had to be asked the right question. Ask me in the hospital. Please ask me in the clinic, in the church. Ask me. The murder knows the listening to God. Ask me! No one looked. I stared everywhere else. I could walk down the street. I could walk through the crowds. I could see all the people, but they couldn't see me. They could see the mouth that spoke the words, but they couldn't see me. The woman who wasn't there. The woman who had nothing wrong with her. The woman who was fine. The woman who walked into doors. Thank you.
And ending us off tonight on a high note will be Connor Friars and Henry Trump with our second and last duet.
How's your drink, Mr. Bond?
Oh, thank you.
You remember the guy that replaced Michael Jordan after he left the Bulls?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
Do you remember the guy who replaced Tom Brady after he left the Patriots? Lightning doesn't always strike twice.
And replacements are rarely as good as their predecessors.
We see this in
008.
by Herb Duncan.
Rattle the sun sounds.
Who are you?
It's Professor Bubbles. Now this is my hamster. Seraph it doesn't have to watch us unveil a girl plan for world dominations.
Well, what do you have in mind?
Right, levels of your business. This is the word. This is a tiny sound and at the word. That's close explanatory rules.
What does that have to do with me?
So James Bond, it's everyone's dream to kill James Bond.
No, I'm not actually
I like to sit chill and chit chat, but I'm afraid you're going to be too busy dialing.
This is all a mistake.
If you're not real James Bond, then who are you?
Actually, it's a pretty funny story.
Well, you think you're out for real can't listen to this funny tale of yours? But just we do have time to listen to your funny story.
Well, I guess it all started when I saw an ad in the newspaper.
Hi, thank you all for coming. We all know why we're here today. An accounting ad in the newspaper. 007, James Bond, the world's #1 greatest secret agent, has passed away.
What happened to him?
Boss?
James Bond, the world's #1 secret agent, was, eaten alive by a group of carnivorous salamanders somewhere off the coast of Nigeria.
And although James Bond will always hold a special place in our hearts, there's still a whole lot of work saving out there left to do. I'm sure he'd want his memory imbibed in another hot-blooded ruffian. So, without further ado, let's get these auditions started.
So let's grab a script and start from the top.
James Bond! James Bond!
Could you say that again, please?
James Bond! James Bond!
Alright, if you're going to want to be James Bond, you're going to have to lose the list.
What list?
Next! Mr. Funkenhauser, it says here that you're a technological entrepreneur. Could you elaborate on that, please?
Well, I like to take pictures of myself. Put them on the internet.
I thought he looked familiar. Well, you got all the right characteristics. You're just a little too short to play James Bond. We'll give you a call. Next. Mr. Anderson, what do you think you have that will let you be the world's #1 secret agent?
I like to work with little children.
I'm sure you do. Do you have any specific qualifications?
Well, I'm great with a big axe.
Alrighty then, we will give you a call. Next.
Hi, I'll be performing a little routine I put together inspired by the music of the early 1980s. And the 1, and the 2, and the 3, and the 4, and the 5.
Could someone please explain to me why this guy's wearing a cat outfit? Someone get him out of here.
Oh God, I need this job. I really need this job. Oh God, I need this job.
You will not be getting this job in 2 days. Next.
Sir, I hate to be a bother, but we're running low on time.
You're right. Well, I guess the next person that walks through that door is going to be the next James Bond. Did someone drop a pair of cat whiskers? It was then that they told me what happened to the real James Bond. He was eaten alive by a group of carnivorous salamanders somewhere off the coast of Nigeria.
And they told me if the world found out what happened to 007, cities would collapse, governments would fall, and Mattel would have to discontinue its very profitable line of 007 action figures. So I signed a 6-month contract, and by the next day I was polished and stylized.
What's up, girlfriend? My name is Fabulous. Wow, man, I would be your best against something. Boyfriend, you're gonna need a whole body makeover. This ain't no Bon Jovi concert. And listen here, Mr. Secret Agent Man, if I ever catch you wearing brown shoes with a black belt again, I'll personally make sure you never see the light of day again. Do you understand me?
The next day, I began my training. After that, I was given my first assignment to go to the Camel Club Casino and look for bad guys.
Could I get you a drink, Mr. Bone?
Yeah, I would like a Shirley Temple Virgin.
We'll have that right out for you, sir.
While doing my rounds, I noticed some suspicious looking characters.
Come on, Daddy, make a new pair of shoes. God damn! Oh, Mr. Bond, you may expect me. Would you like to join in on some of the action?
I sure would. I used to be pretty handy with the dice back in my day.
Yahtzee! Yes! This is crepes, Mr. Bond.
I know.
Here's your drink, Mr. Bond.
Ah, thank you.
So, what should we do with him now?
Well, we could street search him.
I think we should leave that for Professor Lee.
Look, man, I'm not even a real secret agent. I work at the Taco Grande.
Tacos!
I have a coupon in my pocket if you want.
General volunteers.
Does that mean I get to go home?
No. I think I'm gonna choose a little bit. Just for funsies.
Fine, go ahead and do it. I don't want to live in a world with you super villains and your super gadgets always being stopped by super agents. Just get it over with. And how about after you kill me, get a real job?
Like working at Taco Grande.
Listen, man, I just wanted to get a wife and kids and
No. You don't think Alan can have a beautiful wife and kids?
No. Well, maybe you could find a nice-looking ogre lady or something.
Perhaps you're right. I guess I never thought about it like that. You filthy girl. Come out here with our soups around.
After that, I went back home and quit the secret agent business, but now every time I'm walking down the street and look into a pet store window and see a demonic-looking hamster, I think of those two and give them a prayer. Thank you.
All right, guys, come on stage. You can make your phone bell. Put your hands together one more time for this amazing group of students. You guys are really cool. And that was just 8 of the 34 different events that qualified for state champs. Just kind of a sampling of what we've done. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Thank you for coming out. Really appreciate it. I know they do. And that's it. That's the evening. Thank you.